Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Get you out of that glare. There we are. So I hadn't planned on doing any more scrapping slash salvaging on the old Caterpillar number 9 Auto Patrol grader chassis this year, but seeing as how we have record-breaking temps for this area this time of year, we're going to keep banging on it. We should be covered in snow right now, but it's going to be close to 65 degrees Fahrenheit again today, so make hay while the sun shines, right? Catch you all up. So a lot of questions about the old rat rod number 9. This has been on the channel. I've given the full story. Pop that link that just appeared right there. You can go back and relive when I found this and hauled it and everything else. But long story short, in case you don't want to do that, this was owned by a couple of bachelor brothers, lived on the same farm their whole lives, and honestly, condition-wise, this is the best of the three. This is the one that's going to be fully restored after we take that old Chevy car front end off. But something happened with the engine, so they just gutted that. They weren't mechanical, but they could sure Rube Goldberg things, and they took the front clip of this Chevy car, had an inline 6-cylinder engine in it with the original transmission, adapted it in through a Rube Goldberg clutch drive deal. That didn't have enough power to actually propel the grader, so they ripped the engine out of that to use in something else. Put a plank right here, hacked a hole in the floor, put a Briggs & Stratton engine right here, and since it couldn't move itself, took the front axle off and made a hillbilly hitch. That's what a lot of this cabling and welded chain and everything is left over from. Well, when I got it, I threw an axle back under it, took the Briggs out. Senior has that. But back in the day, it was a towed unit, so one brother would be on the tractor towing the grader. The other brother would have the running Briggs between his legs, sitting on the seat and running all the blade functions. It was a heck of a sight. Otherwise, this thing's pretty mint. So go check that link out. Like I said, whole story's in there. But as for the chassis, so I spent part of yesterday just ripping bolts out of this thing. Just getting everything ready to come apart. And of course, as you know, I salvage all these cat bolts. Anything that's in good condition gets saved. I took all the old nasty seat cushions out of it because they were just junk. Found some amazing intact original cat yellow paint under those cushions and panels. What else did I do? I took the gauge pod off. I also, well, the rods and everything are left intact under the cab. We're going to get the cab out of the way first. Took the throttle control off. Popped all the drive yokes off of the Knuckle Buster outputs because those won't fit through the holes in the dash. So got that part done. Also removed and salvaged all of the drive shafts that went out to the jack screws. I removed and salvaged the steering shaft and wheel. That was still good yet. Remember, we're just as much salvaging here as we are scrapping. So the next thing I'm going to do is work on getting the roof off and the cab uprights, and then work on the seat box, and then Knuckle Buster, get that out, and then floor pan. That's kind of the workflow plan for today. So to start with, I'm going to get these two. You can tell they're loose already. I've just got one bolt in each one of them down here. I'm going to get these two angle uprights out of the way. Just start opening things up so we can prepare to lift the roof off. As long as we're kind of in the area, look at all of the metal fatigue and the cracks on this seat base. We're cracked out back there, we're cracked out here. Matter of fact, yeah, got enough bolts in. Oh, that piece just comes right out, so that's going to be scrapped. This front piece just fell off. I don't think there's anything left to save of most of that even. The amount of vibration that it took to crack all 4 of those corners out. That is high hour. All right, up in the cab now. Just taking the last few bolts out of the corners, and the cab will rest on top of these upright supports. We got all the bolts out there, all of them out back on this corner. Just working on the last one right here. There. So, ready to lift the roof off. Just take a minute to just get the last view of it. Boy, somebody spent a lot of hours in this cab. It came up in the comment section a couple times, wondering, like, let's get a view across that knuckle buster box out across the nose, how a machine like this gets to be as worn out as this one is. And I explained it briefly a couple of times. This one came from the Iron Range region of Minnesota, way far north, and it's pretty common for machines just to get flogged to death and then some up in that area. They had to work hard and work long days and minimal repairs, not a lot of money to reinvest. Look at that old stenciling, 4048. Honestly, I don't think I'd noticed that until now. Old number from something. Yeah, they lived hard lives up there, so that's why so much of this thing's just flogged out. Looks like they had this painted silver on top at one time, but boy, it's been, something's beat it in right there. Big crease there, crack there, crack there. You can tell by the front of it, instead of a nice curve, it goes right down. At first I thought these might be some cat light brackets. They're not. They're some mirror brackets off some car or truck, so they're gonna go. I don't have a use for this roof, unless somebody out there wants it. I don't know. Pretty good dent back there. It's either getting scrapped or I'm going to use it to cover over top of something else that I like a little bit more. Haven't decided yet. This other back upright, it's been scab welded, broken at one point, repaired. That's going to go for scrap. I'll keep this cab back though, but both of these pieces are going to come off at the same time here. Gotta admit though, I'm kind of liking this back plate. It doesn't have any holes in it that weren't supposed to be there. These three are factory, all right. Got good brackets on the back side yet for the controls. Pivot bracket on each end. I'm gonna keep this piece just as it is because the other two and these other graders have been hacked. So you can see where they rough torched an opening for a heater at one point in time in this one. Plus we're getting a little bit rusty down along the floor. And even in the other otherwise better one, they torched a great big hole down there. So a couple more holes torched further over in the middle. So honestly, that's a pretty pristine piece. That one's gonna come in handy during the restoration. And grab handle, save. ×2. Before I can take this other cab side panel off now, we need to address the old battery box. That's right, and these are always, well, I've got a bucket down there for trash, but we'll just, okay, that's an old glove. Probably, yeah. Trying to see. That says Handy Hank. Yep, old work glove. And this is an old rag, I believe. Yep, nothing in there, just some old pine needles. A couple bits of broken glass. Handy Hank, there's another one. There was a pair in there. Set this stuff out so I don't cut myself on it. What else we have? It's like an old piece of burlap. That was maybe old seat cushion. Oh, there's still some. There's another piece of glass. Not seat cushion, but seat covering, I meant to say. Probably what that's from. And a chunk of rope. Some more of it. Yeah, some old squirrel debris, acorn hulls. That's just pine needles and dirt, leaves. That must have been where the battery was. That's kind of captured it. What do we got here? We've got International Correspondence, Scranton. And on the back, okay, you could check off what you're good at, I guess. Rigging, safety engineering, tool design, tool making, textile, carding and spinning, cotton manufacturing. There's all kinds of stuff back there. You'd put in your name, home address, state, employer, Canadian residents send copies to ICS, Canadian Limited Montreal, Canada, and then special low monthly tuition rates to members of the U.S. Armed Forces, printed in USA. I don't know. I like that old time capsule stuff like that. That looks like it was just a piece of scrap wood. Threw in for a back. Let's see about the bottom here. Oh, there went another piece of glass. Ooh. Chevrolet service. Now that is cool. Wow. Yeah, nothing on that side. Looks like they cut it off. No, Chevrolet. Chevrolle. That was Chevrolet service. What the heck, man? That is... I think we found a wall hanger from the old Auto Patrol. Wow. That's cool. Now that the battery box is out of here, this other cab side can go. Alright everybody, floor pan is next. We're finally down to it. I had to take the shifter lever off because that bolts around here, and this is the whole shift box down here. You can see where the rails are in there. That whole thing bolts to the base of the floor pan. It's probably just going to drop out when I get this bolt out. No, it's holding itself in. So we'll see what we have to do to get it out of there. But it's interesting. There's been so much grease on here for so long. I scraped some of it away to find some bolts, and we're actually getting down to some of the original yellow paint before they put the Highway Department orange on over the tops. So we may have an original shift tag there yet. I don't know. I don't want to scratch on it too hard. Get this pan off first. There it goes. That's all we needed. Oh man, is there grime on that thing. Sure enough, there was the tag under there. And sure enough, it is the original gear shift pattern tag. It was preserved perfectly under all that really dried on grease. It's had a few dings. There's a few creases across it, but here's our layout shifter pattern right here. So this indicates front of machine that way. So first gear, extreme left rear against spring pressure. There's an added detent to get it over and then down into first. Second, left rear. Third, right front. Fourth, right rear and reverse, left front, neutral, dash, and central position. Plus we got 4 really good twist tacks that hold it down, so definitely worth taking it easy trying to salvage that. Interesting thing, you see how crackled that old yellow paint is on the back side of it? That's an indicator that they tagged this on before the paint was even dry on the foot plate. So really cool. We're definitely going to keep that. So we're finally just about down to the Knuckle Buster box. I'm betting, I just looked at this real quick, betting they didn't bother putting a bolt back in on that yoke. So I'm going to have to remove this cross shaft with the clutch and brake pedals on it. I'm also going to keep both of these cab corner uprights. As you can see from this one, they do like to break from time to time. Great big crack going all the way through. So those are also handy pieces to have. No, it looks like that just floats on there. I was wrong. At least from right here. Okay, everybody, we're getting down to it. This was my goal for today, is to get to this control box. But first, this nasty welded up lever from the end, that one's going for scrap. We're not even going to mess with that. But a few things I want to show you real quick. So to get this cover off, to see how this whole thing works, you need to get all these levers off of these plungers right here. And one thing to note about this lever on the end, you can see it's a little bit longer than the rest of them. That's because that is a replacement lever off of a newer, like Cat 112, 212, or Cat 12 even. It's got the newer style Cat bolt in it. We'll retain that one just for parts someday. On a typical number 9, all these levers should be the same length. And you'll notice this one in the center, that's kind of odd. It's got a hexagon shaped handle on it. That's actually a Cat original, and that's a pretty hard to find handle to be still intact. Back in the day, Cat used these hexagon shaped handles as opposed to the round ones, so that the operator just by touch could tell what lever he was on. Usually they'd put them like on a main clutch lever instead of a steering lever, so that you could be looking somewhere else and just by feel know where you're at. This one happened to be placed right in the middle, so if you just reach down, you find a lever, it's got some flats on it, the hex shape, you just count over however many you need so to be where you want to be. That's a very good one. Excellent handle on that, so that's going to get stored away where it cannot degrade. But just the sheer amount of wear that accumulates on these power boxes, you can see how egged out that hole is on this far end one, as well as that hole on the other far end one. Those are the two most common used power outputs, because that's what go to your jack screws that raise and lower the blade. And also the bolts that went through them. How many cycles on that handle do you think it took to wear those bolts with step shoulders in that deep? I don't know if we're going to find anything good for parts in here. I think it's going to be pretty worn, but let's open it up, have a look. All right, here's the magic inside a Knuckle Buster box. Gears, lots of them. We got some forks and some hubs and a bunch of dogs. And just to show you, so the center shafts right here are these. This is the other end of it. So when I turn that end out there, you see it spins here. All right, so that's one of the key features of this. Here are our plungers that have detents. There's a detent spring and poppet under each one of those bolts. And Well, just to show you how it works, the key to it is this gear right back here on the center. So to get at that, we'll pull this one out. They just spin on the shafts on bushings. You see we have some dogs on the insides of them. So we'll pull the other one to the other side out. All right. And here's the key right here. All right. Dogs on the inside, just like the others, but it rides on that transfer gear in the center, and way back in there's a matching, if I can get you in far enough, it's awfully dark, but I think you might be able to see there's a matching series of gears on the inside, and again the center one rides off the other side of that lower spur gear right there. So lightly with some vice grips so that we can turn this, you can see when the input spins, anytime the engine runs, that input is spinning, it transfers up to that spur gear in the bottom. And you can see it's turning the one back behind, and because that one meshes to all the other ones all the way across, that gives you your power feed. So we'll just set the center one, oops, put it in there right. Set that center one back in, we'll mesh it back up. So when this spur gear on the bottom spins, okay, we're going to be spinning in that direction there. That means the gear at the back, as we look at it, is spinning clockwise. But it makes the gear that's in front of us spin counterclockwise as we look at it. There you go. You can see the one on the inside is spinning the opposite direction as the one on the outside. All right. And when we stack all of these other gears in, like that, they all drive each other. All right. So now we talk about these dogs that are on the insides of the gears, and also the dogs that are on these matching collars. All right. These collars are held by these forks. The forks are attached to the plungers, and they will detent out or detent in. Center range is neutral, and what that does is it joins the center shaft to either that inner gear that's spinning one direction or this outer gear that's spinning the other one. It's so crazy simple that you can't even imagine. So let's just watch the shaft right here. We're in the neutral position, so our bottom spur gear is spinning, but nothing's happening, okay? Until we go and we engage this center hub in to that gear at the back. Now watch. See, that shaft starts spinning. And we go out here, we can see that that shaft is turning. All right. And to make it go the other way, well, we're going back to neutral. So if this outer gear was placed on, I found that I have to hold this in because of the spur cut gear always wants to push it out. We turn it the other way. Okay. Back to neutral. Okay, we are dogged into the front gear. You can see the shaft is spinning counterclockwise as we look at it. Now we're dogged into the outer gear. It's spinning clockwise with it. Now we're back in neutral. Shaft doesn't spin at all. So in essence, that is how that entire Knuckle Buster box operates. That is mechanical, continuous, live power, and that's also why you need to run these levers forcefully. All right, that's why they call them Knuckle Buster, because of the ramps of the beveled edges on those dogs. If you do not engage the gear with the collar forcefully, what it does is it half engages, and those are just ramps. Okay, if you're not fully engaged and the detent hasn't taken over yet, those can cam basically the collar back away from the gears, and it's going to transfer through the plunger into the lever, and pow, it's going to hit you in the hand. So yeah, you definitely need to operate these with extreme prejudice, and then you're just fine. So that's just a brief overview of the Knuckle Buster power box on cat graders. Every one of those little taps out there, those stub shafts, are available power that comes from this just crazy simple but absolutely genius setup. And anytime the engine's running on one of these, all this stuff is in here just spinning away. I love it. Okay, everybody, that's as far as I really wanted to get for today. We got that power control box off. We'll store that away here before it gets dark. So we have a stripped frame up to right here, and I began getting the jack screws ready to come off. That one over there, I'm going to need the torch, and it's been very dry out here lately, so until we get some rain or some snow, I'm kind of as far as I can get on this right now, because the torch is going to be coming in more and more heavily after this. But yeah, compared to the other two, we don't have much of a grader left there. So all right, everybody, this was kind of fun again today, so hope you all enjoyed it. We saw the intricacies of the mysterious Knuckle Buster box, and yeah, when we can get it out here with some fire without setting everything else on fire, we might pull a few more pieces off of this. So thanks for watching, everyone, and I hope to see you back again.